This week on the Digital Marketing Scoop, I'm talking about buying my very first NFT. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Digital Marketing Scoop. So this week I am talking about NFTs, what they are, what I thought about them a couple of years ago, my thinking about them now, and my journey to purchasing my very first one. So I suppose to take a step back, what is an NFT? Well, it stands for Non-Fungible Token. I've done one episode on these before, but kind of a quick synopsis. The way I like to describe NFTs is it's a way of creating authenticity around something digital. So the example I used before is if the Mona Lisa was done on an iPad, how do you sell that original? How do you create a verified copy that is the original copy of that work of art? And using NFTs and using blockchain technology, that is how it's done. And that market is massive at the moment. A lot of it, to be honest, is a lot of bullshit around the market at the moment. And that's always the way with new technology. Same thing happened like back in like the late 90s, early 90s when the internet was coming of age. And you had, projects popping up all around the internet that went to sky high values, and of course they were all worthless. Same thing is happening right now in the crypto and the NFT space. But the underlying technology behind it, the blockchain technology, and the concept of what NFTs are, I think are going to be massive over the next coming years. So I probably first heard about NFTs back in maybe 2018, completely dismissed them, didn't understand them at the time. So it was just something that wasn't on my radar. And then kind of late 2019, early 2020, I started kind of educating myself a bit more about them. Got a good grasp of what it was. Still didn't quite sink in how the real world applications of it, let's put it that way, and whether that would be accepted or not. But the more and more I dug into it, I realized, how everything in our world is digital now. And this is how we create scarcity and authenticity around those digital goods. So it gradually kind of sank in. The technology sank in. I have one client who's big into cryptocurrencies, and he's always kind of talking to me about that kind of stuff. So it eventually kind of sank in. And by the way, I still believe 99% of all the stuff around crypto and NFTs will go to zero. That's my belief anyway. So there's a load of bullshit in that space. But the underlying technology is pretty amazing. So this is probably February 2020. I had a good understanding of NFTs, of how they could be used. And then I think it was May, I'll have to actually double check, but I think it was May, I went off and purchased my very first NFT. And that was Gary Vaynerchuk's VeeFriends was a project he had. Now, why I chose that one was very simply because there's a real world application to it. When you are the owner of this NFT, you get access to a conference for the next 3 years that he's putting together. So obviously for my business, it's great for networking. It's great for content for us. Hopefully I'm going to go there in May next year, May this year now, 2022, and hopefully be able to get some interviews with some amazing people, get some great content, make some great connections. So there was a real world application to it. So that's really why I chose that one. Most people, they see NFTs as, it's just a JPEG. And I can completely understand that. That is how I felt about it for a very long time. And the vast majority of them today, that is what they are. It could be an image, but you're not buying the image itself. You're buying the token on the blockchain, basically. You're establishing you as the verified owner of whatever that JPEG is or whatever that product is. But I think art is only going to be one very small facet of NFTs. It's probably the biggest part of it now. But in the future, I really do feel it's only going to be a small proportion of it. So right now, I think it's a fantastic platform for artists. It's absolutely brilliant. They now have a way of putting out digital artwork, selling it online, being able to establish people as the verified owners of that artwork. And then when those people go off and sell it down the line, they can claim a royalty on it because it's all done through smart contracts and the blockchain. So if you've set up the smart contract initially, that every time it moves, 10% of that goes back to the original owner, or 5% or whatever it might be. So in terms of, getting royalties every time your product, your NFT moves, I mean, that's absolutely amazing. So I can see this being used, across gaming. So like digital goods and characters within games. Down the line, I would say even things like property transactions, there's really no limit to how this technology can be used. And I think it is a little bit like the early days of the web, where now there's just projects popping up left, right, and center, and 99% of them will go to zero. So how is it applicable to marketing? Well, I did this podcast on 2022, the predictions for 2022, and it was all around community. And that's how I believe that this technology will be applicable. When you're able to now build a community as an influencer, as a celebrity, as a brand, now you can sell access. You can sell collectible artwork. You can sell digital collectibles. And when they move, you can also collect a royalty on them. So you imagine your favorite influencer sets up an NFT, it's a work of art they did. Also, within that contract, when they sell that, you get an hour Zoom call with them once a year. You have that token, that's yours, but you go on and sell it, and the artist or the influencer can collect the royalty on it then down the line as well. So it's very, very exciting. A big way I think it's going to disrupt a lot of industries is in terms of funding them. So I can see people who want to, say, make a movie. Why would they go to a studio who's going to take most of the money when they can actually just go to their fans who can all now buy an NFT from the person who's creating the movie, own a piece of that movie themselves, and within the contract, they get a portion of the revenues from that movie. So rather than, I think it's going to cut out a lot of kind of, people in the middle, basically. So it's exciting technology, definitely in its infancy. It's early. It's definitely something that took me a long time to actually kind of come around and understand it and understand the value of it. So I can really understand people who dismiss it completely, because that's what I did a couple of years ago. But if it is something that you're currently dismissing, either from the potential marketing point of view, just the technology as a whole, I really do think that it is going to be big. I'd be very, very surprised if 5-10 years from now, we don't all have our digital wallets with our digital collectibles in them. As I say, it's not just going to be like collectibles as such, probably, potentially ticketing for events, for example. Every ticket could be issued as an NFT, because it's a really great way as well of keeping the authenticity of something, because it can only be minted once on the blockchain, and it's verifiable. So a lot of applications. The technology is definitely in its infancy. It's very, very exciting. I'm really excited to go to that conference in May, the Gary Vaynerchuk one, the VeeFriends one. So definitely, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. You're listening to the podcast, make sure to subscribe, because I'll be hopefully bringing you an awful lot of great content from that in May. So yeah, NFTs, really, really interesting space. That's kind of my journey to purchasing my very first one. And it's definitely a space I'm going to be keeping a big eye on in the future. Thanks for listening. That's this week's episode of the Digital Marketing Scoop. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of the Digital Marketing Scoop. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please jump into your Apple Podcasts, your Google Podcasts, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcast platform is, and just make sure to follow and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to leave a review if you enjoyed the episode, I'd absolutely love for you to do that. We put out an episode every single week, all with digital marketing tips, case studies, ways to build your business with digital marketing. Also, if you are interested in bringing your own business online or looking at scaling your business, we'd love to chat with you here at CLIQ. You can visit us online at cliq.ie.